All right, welcome everyone to Get Your Geek On spoiler review of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2, Chapter 10, The Passenger. We're here to talk again spoilers around The Mandalorian, Episode 2, which picks up immediately after our previous episode with... a ride through the Tatooine desert. We're not going to recap all of the events. We're just going to talk about what we liked in this episode. So before I dive into what I liked, the things that I want to mention that I thought was really interesting is this episode is directed by Peyton Reed, who was the director of the 2 Ant-Man movies. And also worked on Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the original movie with Rick Moranis.
Oh my God, really?
And so...
Now that makes sense.
Exactly. When you start to think about that, you go, man, I see, there's, the giant ant, Dr. Mandible, that she's playing cards with. There's a little throw to the Ant-Man movies. There's the different, size things that they're playing with the different creatures, with even some of the sequences that look very similar to some of those things from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah. And so you start to understand why they might have wanted Peyton Reed on this episode.
That makes sense. And now it all makes sense. Because wasn't there ants in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids too? Mm-hmm. Like, that was that they befriended an ant, didn't they?
Yeah, I think that the ants were their friends, but there was a giant spider that, they had to escape from.
So we get Starship Troopers, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah. Got it. So this is Mandalorian edition of both of those. Okay.
And Ant-Man a little bit.
And Ant-Man. So Ant-Man, Starship Troopers, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
There you go.
Cool. So now I can say he's in all of them.
Yeah, there you go.
It's our crossover.
So what worked for me in this episode, I think the opening sequence was fantastic. Yes. Where he's fighting I think there's a total of 4 bounty hunters.
Yeah.
That he kind of takes out. The way he takes out the last one is great. Which is like, I'm gonna trade you my jetpack, and then it's and I love the scream that as it's taking off.
Not to let go.
And then him and the child kind of exchange looks like, what are you gonna do?
Never said he could keep it.
So I thought that sequence worked really, really well.
And I like it because again, it shows, at least to me, he's not overpowered, because they were almost getting the upper hand on him, and they actually took him off the speed bike.
They took him off the speed bike. They got a couple shots in. Obviously, his armor protected him. He was able to, knock out 3 of them. I presume he then later killed them. Because obviously he doesn't want them following him. Mm-hmm. And I love his line. It's like, if you put one mark on him, there's not a place you can go to hide from me.
And I was like, still feel like the anger behind, like the helmet's on, but I was like, oh, he's gonna kill you. Like you're gonna be chopped up.
This is not gonna work. And really, it's one of those things where I've seen enough movies. It's like, he's actually gonna kill you even for threatening the kid.
Exactly.
Your life is already marked for death, because you've even had the audacity to hold a knife to Baby Yoda's throat.
Exactly. It's just like, you're gonna die. Are you gonna die in like a couple years, or are you gonna die like in 30 seconds when you grab my dumb jetpack, you idiot? Like, don't go grab the other Mandalorian armor. No, I'm gonna take the jetpack I saw you. Oh, yeah.
It's a nice one. I mean, I get it. But yeah, I thought that sequence worked really well. I think that the humor in that sequence I thought worked perfect.
Yeah. I like the look Baby Yoda gives him.
Yeah, I do too. Some of the humor in this with the eating of the frog eggs.
Yeah.
I it's one of those things where, we all call him Baby Yoda. We all call him the child.
Yeah.
But if you remember back to the very first episode of The Mandalorian, they mention he's 50 years old. Mm-hmm. So now we don't know how they develop, or, what they're... like.
Yoda was like hundreds, wasn't he, when he died?
Yeah, I mean, he was like, 800, 900 years old during the events that we witness of Star Wars.
Okay.
But again, we don't know what they're, maybe he is still a baby in his mental capacity as well. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. He certainly, in stature, looks like one. But he's 50 years old. Mm. And he's just like... this whole episode, he's ignoring everything that the Mandalorian is saying. He's doing whatever he wants. He's shoving things in his mouth that he shouldn't be shoving in his mouth. Yeah. He was, and it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I know we all call him Baby Yoda, but is he 50 or is he a baby? Yeah. Like, what's going on here? So, as much as I love Baby Yoda, I was getting very annoyed with him in this episode.
And I think that's the point of that one. I think they were trying to annoy us with them to see, and maybe that, like you said, we don't know their mentality growth either. You know, is it, you know, in 100 he'll be like a 10-year-old to us.
Yeah.
You know, in 300 is he a 30-year-old? You know, is it, you know, roughly every 10 years or so is 100, or, you know, who knows? So I agree with you on that, because it was kind of odd, like he was disobeying, but I feel like they were trying to push that he's still a baby. This is what a 2-year-old roughly would do. They're going to ignore you and put everything in their mouth and just not care.
Yeah.
But then I also want to know, does he have a diet that or can he just eat whatever? Because like then he goes later on, opens up and eats a whole spider.
It feels like he. I mean, we saw him eat a frog. I think.
Yeah, eat a frog
season
whole.
1. So it seems like he likes his food raw and wriggling, as Smeagol
Pretty
would say.
much,
right?
yeah.
I think that what's one thing that was clear about this episode was that this was another kind of bottle episode. Obviously, it's moving the story along.
Yeah.
We're on a journey to find other Mandalorians, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is part of that. The X-Wing pilots that he runs into, one of them is played by Dave Filoni.
Okay.
Which is not the one that gets most of the lines, right? Because he's not an actor. He's like the guy that's he's been involved with a lot of Star Wars animation stuff. Okay. He's actually heavily involved in this show. He directed a couple episodes of season 1.
He's the little thin guy, I guess, right?
Yeah, and he was in an episode of season 1 as well as an X-Wing pilot that was after the prison break episode. He was one of the pilots that showed up there, and he again had one very brief line there. Yeah. But that kind of you know, I thought that scene, there was a little bit of reminiscence of Han Solo in the detention center in A New Hope, you know, talking on the radio like, oh, everything's fine, don't worry about it, you know, as he's trying to like talk with the X-Wing pilots like, it's my transponder, it's just not working,
I can't
you know,
ping.
it's fine, you know, no problem, may the force be with you.
Yeah,
you know?
I tried so hard. That's me in D&D when I try to bluff my way through stuff.
And I do know that there's been some talk about, you know, well, he doesn't know about the Force. Why would he say that may the Force be with you? And I think that's one of those things where he clearly doesn't know about Jedi or the Force in a general sense of what it actually is. Yeah. But he's heard the phrase, and clearly that was a little bit of a rebellion calling cry, was may the Force be with you. And so I think he knows,
he's not stupid.
Say that to X-Wing pilots. Like that's, you know, so they know you're not part of the Empire. Say, may the Force be with you.
Exactly.
So I don't think that was, there was any continuity issue with him.
No.
Not knowing, you know, he doesn't know about the Force, so why does he know the phrase, may the Force be with you?
I mean, and it's also not, how should I put it? In God we trust, like on the Bills. You know, maybe people don't believe in God, but they know that some people like to hear that. It makes them feel better. So like you just said, he's not stupid. He's been around for a while. He's probably seen the fall of the Empire, the rise of
it's only been
rebellions.
5 years, so.
Yeah, so he's seen all of it. So, and like you said, if they see, you know, may the Force be with you, let's go, guys. And they've already, she even told him, may the Force be with you. So he knows now, okay, well, they use it on Tatooine at least.
Yeah.
So he's probably putting 2 and 2 together. Like, okay, I'll just say it. Like, let's see what happens. And maybe that'll get rid of him. And I'm sure if it was the Empire, he'd be like, rebel scum or something. And okay, cool, he wants to kill rebels, bye. And then they'll just leave, hopefully. All
right, so let's talk about the action sequences. You know, I got some strong alien vibes as Baby Yoda was coming across all of the little, you know, like basically cocoons.
Yeah.
And then certainly, you know, there was some elements almost of like Harry Potter when they encounter all those spiders. I think that's in Chamber of Secrets. There's
Lost in Space.
Yeah, Lost in Space. There's kind of been a lot of sequences. I did like there were various sizes of the spiders. You can tell there's different generations. You know, there's the brand newborns. There's maybe children, and then there's mama and daddy are around.
Oh yeah.
And so you know, what are your thoughts? What did you think about like that action stuff?
I liked it. I thought it was really good. You know, and again for a TV show. You know, this is stuff like, to me, you don't see really until like movies, when you see all these little different sizes and all that. Yes, it is computer generated, so you can just duplicate it and it looks good, but it looked really cool. I liked it. I did like that he's still dealing with it, but at the same time, I get it. You know, you have to show him shooting stuff, but it's like, shoot random spiders here and there. I'm like, no, just keep running. I would just not shoot, just run.
Right.
So that was like cool, but I loved the whole how they it was so, you know, it's aesthetic where he pauses to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna set
the
them on fire.
flamethrower.
Yeah, like he's never done that except we show us off for a minute and then sets them all on fire. I thought that was a cool little thing to it. I did like afterwards when they cleared the ship out though, the webbing, how quickly they made a nest almost inside of the ship.
Yeah.
I was like, Oh, I like that. Nice
Well, there was
aesthetics.
even a spot where, as the X-wings were flying away, like their exhaust was kind of blowing, and there was like a little bit of a web on his helmet that was like flapping in their, kind of the exhaust wind. And I was like, that's really cool.
I think they sold that part perfectly, like all the detailing, because that's what spiders would do to me. And I like that it didn't look like just a normal spider. Like they put their, of course, alien twist looking to it, and I'm like, that's like a sucker, like a leech kind of thing.
Supposedly, and I haven't verified this, but supposedly this is actually the same planet that we see in the opening of the entire show, where he goes to get that bounty, and then they're on the ice planet, and they're like, don't go out in that area, because there's, that creature, and it like comes up and eats, I think the little speeder guy.
Yeah.
In the very opening sequence. Supposedly, this is the same planet.
Which isn't Hoth then, right?
No, it's not Hoth.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of very angry creatures on this planet.
Apparently.
Maybe why are people there? That's my question.
I think one thing I like too, and I think we talked about some of the other one, how there was or maybe it was on our recap of season 1, where I think you had mentioned that, I want some of these storylines to come back around.
Yeah.
And this one brought the detention center back around. And I was happy when I saw that. I was like, Robert called that. He wanted it, and they just happened to be talking about it right here.
Yeah, I mean, they call back explicitly to that episode, with the X-Wing pilots. And, I kind of like that moment of them, like, kind of questioning. And it's really funny. It's like, hey, can you switch to channel 2? And you're like, oh, that's not good.
Can you just happen to switch to channel 2?
Hey, Carson, switch over to channel 2. And you're like, they're about to have a private conversation that is not going to go well.
Exactly.
For the Mandalorian.
Exactly.
I thought the that chase sequence was pretty cool too.
That was nice.
It's cool to see X-Wings in action, and there were, I got the feeling that pretty much at any point they could have blown him out of the sky. They were doing everything they could to not shoot him, and they even say like, "Hey, don't make us do this," like just come quietly, kind of thing. So I kind of like that. It's restraint. It's not just we're just gonna blow you out of the sky.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they did just kind of leave him maybe for dead.
Yeah.
Like we don't know if that ship's.
They
They don't know if that ship's gonna be able to get off the planet or
That's
not.
what threw me off too. And then when he asked him, "Will you arrest me?" No. Well, like if I give up the bounties, will you help me fix my hull? Nah. And they just fly off. Like,
nah, we're just gonna leave.
All right, cool. Fix your transponders so we can talk to you or whatever it was next time. And
Next time we don't blow you out of the sky.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I'm like, you kind of just left him for dead. So I don't know if you're worse than the Empire right now or just as bad. Like, I don't know.
I mean, they're definitely not worse.
But if you left him there to die?
I mean, they left him with his own resources.
Which they don't know what it is either, except the giant spider's dead on his ship.
They don't. But, he seems like a pretty resourceful guy.
I did like that they did save him. I feel like this is like a little, yes, we have, what's his face from the movies. That's a X-Wing pilot.
Luke?
Not Luke. The
Wedge?
The one, is that his name? The guy, the new one in the new series.
Oh, Poe.
Like we have like them, and like I never feel like X-Wing fighters they always just die. Like that's all they're there for. You just get blown up, and you were just there to kind of help until Luke saves the day.
Except Wedge.
Wedge, okay.
Yeah, Wedge. Wedge is the only X-Wing pilot to survive both Death Star battles.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you got somebody like him.
Yes.
I thought it was cool that they came in and kind of saved the day. Like they did, because Mando was dead. Like
they were gonna that giant one was going to take him out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He gets blasted by the
now,
lasers. Or
he might have been able to do the same thing he did in the previous episode with the Krayt Dragon. Like maybe if he gets swallowed, he can
he can blow up somehow and kill it.
Yeah, do a flamethrower on the inside, and like his armor might still protect him.
Yeah,
but it was not going to end well for Frog Lady and her spawn. And I did obviously one of the major plot points of this is Baby Yoda popping those things like they're candy. Did it strike you as odd? Because it struck me as odd that it was just hanging out in like in the cargo area. Like this is like the most important thing to her in her life, and she's just doesn't even care. She's just leaving.
Yeah,
like I thought that was really weird.
That it did bother me for a minute because I'm like, okay, and then especially when she gives you the knowledge of like this is her last generation, and I'm like, man, you should be guarding the thing with your life. And
Yeah.
obviously she had a gun because she pulls the little pistol out and kills the little ones around Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why didn't you have the eggs like next to you and holding it? I get maybe not showing the gun because obviously you don't want him to know in case you need to kill him. But it's like, you clearly care for these things enough to be armed.
I did. The last thing I want to say before we kind of, wrap it up is I think that there was a really cool moment during the foot chase away from the spiders when she went to 4 legs and was leaping.
That was cool.
I was like, that was a cool little bit of
that really was.
Like, that was I appreciated that.
I think so. And again, I think the battle scenes were fun. I think everything where he's fighting everybody is cute. I think it was another good solid episode. John Favreau wrote it. So I'm happy for it. I think it's going well.
Yeah, I think I'm interested. Obviously, I think next episode, hopefully, he's going to be able to deliver this lady and her eggs to with the planet that her husband is on, and supposedly get a lead on a Mandalorian.
Yep.
We don't know who that's going to be. I think they said it was a covert, possibly.
They did.
So it could be a whole group of Mandalorians, possibly the rumored Bo-Katan, episode, or at least cameo. Bo-Katan is kind of a famous Mandalorian that was in the Clone Wars series, and supposedly we're getting in this episode. It was voiced by Katie Sackhoff, who was in Battlestar Galactica. And so there's been a lot of rumors that she was also cast as the live action version of Bo-Katan. So I guess we will see.
That'd be fun.
So anyways, those are our thoughts. I mean, I thought it was another solid episode. I think it wasn't as good as the first one, but I thought it was still really cool.
Yeah.
It was a nice twist. We haven't seen a lot of horror-ish stuff in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And this definitely had those moments.
Oh, yeah.
Where for a 5 or 10 minute sequence there where that was like a horror movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I did have the thought that, like, if this was in a Star Wars movie, if there was a Mandalorian Star Wars movie, this sequence would have been like 3 minutes long.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I like that we're getting to play with the whole sequence. We're getting all of the things that come with it. We're seeing him try to fix his ship. We're seeing, the chase sequence with the spider.
Yeah.
Like, we see all of it. And so I thought that was really cool.
I did too. I think this is, like you said, it's a good episode, and hopefully maybe this is almost a filler episode because, like you said, maybe it's going to take us to this part where the husband will be, and we'll get more Mandalorians, or who knows who else we'll get. I'm excited, though.
I'm excited, too. So, anyways, those are our thoughts on Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 2. We will be back for the next episode, Episode 3, next week. Join the conversation. Drop your thoughts down below, what you thought of this episode. Is there anything that, we missed or we should have talked about? Let us know. And we'll talk to you soon. Again, for Get Your Geek On, that's Aaron. I'm Robert. Thanks for joining. We'll talk to you soon. Stay geeky.